The topic of this day is ghosts. So many people wonder about that. They say, no, they do not exist. Actually, there is a joke here in America saying that all the ghosts in the world speak English. And do you know why it's a joke? Because they say that in all the videos, the ghosts always are speaking English. This is Gian from Odessa, Texas. I thank you for your attention, and let me go ahead with this short reflection about ghosts. Actually, if you remember in history, Solomon was a powerful king. Many people consider him probably one of the most smartest people in the world ever. He wrote many things, and I was reflecting about one of his writings, the book of Proverbs. This book is divided in chapters. The chapter number 9 actually has one section that really got my attention. And there is where I found this particular quote that I want to read to you, because I thought, this is interesting. This is something that some people don't know. It's talking about foolishness, comparing foolishness to a woman, and it says that foolishness is a woman who is loud, stupid, and knows nothing. Of course, I'm not saying foolishness is a woman. It's just a way to present it, because also he compares wisdom to a woman at the same time. It's a different kind of woman, but do you understand? It's not against female. It's just presenting the idea of two characters. So the interesting thing about it is that he says that those who like to follow foolishness are people that do not realize that in the house of the foolishness, that house is full of ghosts. That's so interesting. I kept thinking about it, because to me all this spirituality and all the things about the things we cannot see are always interesting, in why people talk about ghosts sometimes in the house of the dead or the world of the dead. Is such an interesting topic. Of course, I'm going to share with you now the big differences between wisdom and foolishness. So let's start with the foolishness again. Here, quoting from verse 13, it says that this foolishness is like a woman who is loud, stupid, and knows nothing, sits on her chair at the door of her house, up on the highest hill of the city. When people walk by, she calls out to them. They show no interest in her, but still she says, whoever needs instruction, come. She invites all the simple people and says, stolen water is sweet, stolen bread tastes good. And here's the conclusion. He says, those simple people do not realize that her house is full of ghosts and that her guests have entered the world of the dead. It's so powerful, because many people do not realize that with their own foolish life, they are walking directly to death. When you compare that with the other areas of the scripture in Proverbs chapter 9, it says particularly in verse 4, if you want to receive instruction, and let me read it literally. It says, whoever needs instruction, come, is wisdom, right? Calling out. She invites all the simple people and says, come eat my food and drink the wine I have prepared. Leave your old foolish ways and live. Advance along the path of understanding. So when you compare foolishness and wisdom, obviously wisdom requires the desire in a person to change. And basically saying that we have to go away from foolishness. So you have friends, you know people, you know they are not wise. They are living erroneously and they are making mistake after mistake, and you try to help them, and you just think, is there anything really that I can do for them? Sometimes it's our relatives, right? And you say, well, I will try. Well, this is what happens. You try to tell them certain things, and some of them are willing to listen, but some of them are not. And here is where Solomon says, listen carefully. If you are trying to teach or instruct anyone that is wicked, rude, or disrespectful, the only thing that you will get from them are insults, is what it says. Only insults. This is Proverbs 9:7. Is all that you're going to get. Interesting, right? So basically, Solomon is saying, if you know people that are really going bad, and they make mistake after mistake, and whenever you try to say something, and you see the reaction, and those people obviously are upset, sometimes they don't respond to you up front, but probably not in your presence. They say things about you because you're trying to correct them, right? Well, Solomon says, leave them alone. Leave them alone, because it's not their time yet. And what do I mean by it's not their time yet? Well, listen to the next part, because this explains everything. It says, correct those who are wise and they will love you. Teach the wise and they will become wiser. Instruct those who live right and they will gain more knowledge. Do you realize that in some point we were foolish? Do you realize that in some point you were foolish? Or are you going to tell me that everything you have done in your life has been so on point? Well, you see your friends, you see the people that are making mistakes time after time. You understand they are like ghosts. They are just walking in the path to death. So you see that, right? And you want to help them. You want to correct them and instruct them. Unfortunately, when they are not willing to listen, well, it's not their time. Until something happens to them that they say, hey, I would like to know, what do you think about this? The desire of change arises. So here's my question to you. My first question to you is, do you remember that in some point in your life, finally you said, I think I need to change. I'm done with these ways. Do you realize that one day you said that? You see, that day, it was when you changed the path. Instead of going in the path of the foolishness, you decided to go into the path of wisdom. So you desired to change. And then is when applies this verse, teach the wise and they will come wiser. Instruct those who live right and they will gain more knowledge. And after that day, when you decided to change, you became more and more interested in listening and learning, acquiring more knowledge, more understanding. Basically, you started to become wiser and wiser. You see that? So, my second question to you is this. If you don't remember ever saying that, yeah, I'm done with these ways, I want to change. If you don't remember ever saying that, is it possible that now is the time that you are wanting, you are longing for a change? Is it possible? And suddenly you are interested in listening to something that will give you wisdom and understanding of life. Isn't it wonderful? Because all of us go through that process. When we are young, we don't know many things. We ignore many things. And that is why we make so many mistakes. Solomon, who was very powerful, he was a very smart leader. He inherited the kingdom from his father, King David. Well, he knew many things. He learned many things. But let's talk about the reality of this world. Today, there are many companies, many organizations, businesses, many places where people can work and make money. But who are the leaders? Who are those people in authority? Not always is a foolish person. Sometimes there are fools. Yes, I agree on that. We can see them in many places. But most of the time, the one that is leading is a smart person. Smart and wise people are those who are leading the department of a company. Actually, they can be the GM or the CEO of any organization, and perhaps owning their own business, because it requires intelligence to lead people. That intelligence, that wisdom is what we are talking about. How different is possessing intelligence and wisdom compared to not having any of that. In other words, it's being totally a fool, being immersed in the foolish. And that is what Solomon says here in verse 18. Those simple people do not realize that the house of the foolishness is full of ghosts, and that her guests have entered the world of the dead. It's a bad path with a horrible ending. Death. Of course, we all are going to die. But I want to bring to your attention how interesting verse 11 says, wisdom will help you live longer. Wisdom will add years to your life. How about that? And if you think, why is it that wisdom can add years to my life? Well, simply it's because you start to pay attention to everything you do. You pay attention to your health, of course, your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual life. You pay attention to your finances. You pay more attention to your business, your career, your work. You pay attention to your family. You see, you pay more attention. And you are interested in learning more, acquiring knowledge, knowing what to do, because at the end, what you need to do is to make good, sound decisions. Wisdom also is considered one of the spirits of God, believe it or not. And when you acquire this wisdom, when wisdom starts to grow inside of you, what happens is that you start listening the voice of the Holy Spirit of God. Isn't it cool? You start to listen the voice of God, the Spirit of God inside of you. That is what gives you this discernment, the ability to understand what is right and what is wrong, doing what you need to do, which is what is right. Isn't it good? But I want to end this reflection with something so simple that everybody knows, but it's good to hear it. Verse 12. If you become wise, it will be for your own good. If you are rude and show no respect, you are the one who will suffer. Which means that what? Well, basically what that means is that everyone is going to get the result of his own actions and decisions. So, my third question to you today is, do you think that you are going to have a long life? Do you think that you are wise? Are you afraid that you are a fool? Now, when Solomon says here, the big difference between the wise and the fool. There are two indications of the fool. Do you know which ones are those? Rudeness and disrespect. Everywhere in the world, wherever you go, if you are watching on TV, any kind of show, whether it's a movie, a TV show, documentary, the news, interviews, if you are watching sports, in any part of the world, when you see people acting in a very rude way and very disrespectful, right there, you know, they are fools. Because the wise person does not act that way. The wise person is very, very conscientious about being kind instead of being rude and about being respectful to everybody. Kindness and respect are stamps in the character of the wise person. Let's do it, okay? Let's be kind and respectful to everybody all the time. We can do this. Thank you for watching. I wish you a beautiful day.